welcome back to another Koze Daily Brew. Today I wanted to talk about the difference between wisdom and intelligence. I want to talk about this solely because part of me wishes I could go back in time and literally give this exact talk or discuss this with the younger version of me, the version of me that was so concerned when she was deciding to, okay, when I say this, it always sounds so much worse when I say it out loud, but drop out of college and I don't know, okay? Let me take a sip of my coffee and then let's dive deep into this because I have a lot to say. Okay, so depending on who you are watching this, obviously we all have different skill sets, we all have different things that we're good at, we all have different ways of being smart. You know that quote where it's like if you ask a fish to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life thinking that it's dumb because it doesn't know how to climb a tree, and it won't realize that it's a really good swimmer because it's so focused on the fact that it can't climb a tree. I feel like that's kind of relative in the sense of wisdom versus intelligence. I think that there's certain things that we're all intelligent in and that we all are smart with, you know? And I think that if you were to ask any of us to try and do something or know something that other people tend to know, we might start to feel like we're inadequate. We might start to feel like we aren't smart or we aren't intelligent, especially if you are also one of those people that doesn't have a college degree or a university degree or perhaps dropped out of school. Just know that, you know, I get that. I get that feeling because I remember when I first decided that I was going to drop out of my college course, which I don't recommend unless it's like you really know in your core of core. And I knew in my core of core that I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and I needed to kind of go and figure some things out. And I couldn't explain it, but I just knew it. And so one of the things that I really stumbled over or tripped up on a bit was the idea of what people were going to think if I wasn't someone that had a college education under my belt. And it's interesting because that's why I wish I could go back and talk to that version of me, but also I think that even if I could, she was gonna figure it out along the way anyway, because throughout the last 5, 6, God, I don't even know what year I dropped out. I dropped out in 2012. 8? That was not, no. So it's pretty much been 7 going on 8 years. That's highly disturbing. But what I've learned over the last 7 years is that there's a big difference between wisdom and intelligence, and also we all have both. We're all intelligent in our own ways. We all obviously, our cap for how intelligent we are is a little limitless in the sense of as long as you're always willing to learn, I think that you're always able to grow in terms of your intelligence. For instance, I might not have a college degree under my belt, but when I get really, really into something and I start researching it, I become more intelligent in that field in which I'm researching. For instance, things like yoga. I decided to do my yoga teacher training, and with each hour of the 200 hours that I do, I grow more intelligent in the field of yoga. Even if you just got really deep into one of the recent Koze Dailies, I talked about artificial intelligence. So I recently went down a big wormhole of researching artificial intelligence. One thing to note is obviously if you go to school, you're getting a good qualified education, right? You're getting a degree that has been qualified versus you don't know what you're reading sometimes on the internet. So check your sources if you want to grow your intelligence in any field. Always make sure that you're checking your sources and that you're getting your information from proper places. But that said, you can basically become more intelligent, right? You can always grow in the field of things that you want to learn. The difference to me though between intelligence and wisdom is that intelligence is in the mind, and wisdom to me almost feels like it's in the soul. It feels like it's in your body. It feels like you know something before you actually know. Wisdom to me is kind of like knowing what to do in any situation. It's being able to emotionally read somebody and understand exactly how to respond to them. It's understanding the difference of how certain people will pull out different behaviors in yourself. Wisdom is knowing that even during the rougher times in life that it all kind of has to equal out somehow, or that basically everything happens for a reason. Or wisdom to me is being able to not necessarily be the smartest person in the room, but to maybe be the most comfortable person in the room. I guess what I'm getting at is, to me, the difference between intelligence and wisdom is that intelligence is all in the brain. Intelligence is growing and absorbing information and being able to almost kind of like use a file folder in your brain to stock and keep up on all this information and to learn and to grow, and then to use that intelligence to create and to fill in the needs of the world. And intelligence is obviously incredibly important, and human intelligence is the reason why we're all sitting here. You're watching me through a camera lens that then somehow turns into, you know, an adaptable file on a laptop, which then gets exported and uploaded to the World Wide Web, to which you end up watching solely based on the fact that human intelligence brought that reality to our situation. The difference between that and wisdom is almost like untouchable information that we all can tap into if we can get quiet enough, that basically strips away all of the excess that our human lives have, such as technology, and brings it right back down to like the fundamental things that it is to be human. Wisdom to me is understanding love, is being able to process information, it's being able to know exactly kind of like the little piece of, it's not always like a happy piece of life advice, but always to know kind of exactly a little nugget of life advice that is adaptable for whatever situation kind of comes about. It's being able to read the emotional temperature of the room. It's being able to read the emotional temperature of someone you're with or even yourself, and then almost like bring up, I say bring up because it always kind of feels like it comes from your gut, right? Like that gut instinct or that gut knowledge, that gut intelligence, if you will, of understanding life on a different realm, you know? And understanding yourself, understanding humans, understanding the ways of the world that we know of thus far. That to me is wisdom. Wisdom is knowing that you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. Wisdom is understanding that we are all kind of, you know, independently creative and unique, and understanding that you can become the most intelligent. Oh my God, is there a spider on my camera? There is actually a spider on my camera. Where was I? I'm getting so distracted in today's Koze Daily Brew, but I guess what I'm getting at is wisdom isn't something you can learn from a book. It's not something you can learn in a school or a classroom. Wisdom is something you learn from yourself. And I think you learn it from yourself because I think that, okay, I'm about to get real deep, but are we even surprised? When you actually think about where you came from, like where were you before you were you? And where do you go after? We don't know the answers to that, right? But it almost kind of feels like sometimes you have information that comes from that place where you can't really describe how you know something or how you can feel something, but you just do. Wisdom is what you learn from yourself because there is a reason why you're here. And it isn't just to, you know, gain all the knowledge and all the intelligence there is at our fingertips in the world. It's to understand why even grow more intelligent? What is that driving force? Intelligence, you know, you go to school, you learn, you create, you try and fill in the needs of the world, you do all these things, but like why? Why at the end of the day? And I think that that's where wisdom comes in. Wisdom comes in because in all reality, our why is solely just to be. It's to learn, it's to live, it's to love, it's to make mistakes, it's to let life get messy, and it's to pick it all back up, learn the lessons, and keep going. And that is wisdom. That's why you can't learn that in classrooms. And that's why, I mean, the closest I think you can get to learning it in classrooms is to research philosophers and look up people that have been there and understood and tried to formulate it into words, but I don't really think wisdom can even be put into words. I think that people can come up with very touching and moving ways to translate wisdom in a way that we can all kind of comprehend and understand, but I still think that wisdom comes from somewhere that is so deep within us and so larger than us that it, to me, personal opinion, will always kind of trump intelligence a little bit. Not a lot, because I definitely think that intelligence is important. And I definitely think that, you know, getting an education is important, or finding your own way to stay a student in life is important. Whether that is you are a student of wisdom or a student of intelligence is completely up to you and based on your life purpose. But I think that whether you consider yourself to be a smart person or not, which I hope you do, but if you don't, I really hope that you take a second to like reflect on that you don't have to be the person that gets straight A's, and you don't have to be the person that knows every fact down to like the decimal point of what year, what freaking coordinates the world is at. Like, you don't have to know those things to be smart. You can be smart in a magnitude of ways, and to tell a fish to climb a tree would make him feel pretty damn stupid, but that fish might know way more about the ocean than the birds ever would, you know? That's what I'm trying to get at, I guess. Like I said, I've been doing these Koze Daily Brews without any points, and I've just been trying to take the point or the thought starter, which is, my thought starter today was literally just wisdom versus intelligence and just free speak. But sometimes these Koze Daily Brews can be a little hard when I don't have someone to kind of bounce it off of and to like kind of hit a point back at me so I can keep rolling. So I feel like sometimes I get a little all over in my head, and I'm trying to think of like, there's like 5 things I want to say at once. That comes with just more wisdom in life, you know? The more wise I get, the better I'll get at staying on stream in future Koze Daily Brews. So to tie it back in, I guess I wish I could go back to the version of myself that was dropping out of college. I knew that back then I wouldn't give up on myself, that I wouldn't give up on my life, that there was always going to be a drive, that there was always going to be an ambition that constantly kept me reaching for more, and that I knew. But I was definitely afraid that if I dropped out of college that I wouldn't go back. And if I didn't go back, would that make me dumb? Would that make me stupid for not having an education under my belt? And if anything, I don't know what that version of me that would have finished college would have been like, because she doesn't exist, but this version of me exists. And like I said, I don't think that I'm the smartest person in the room ever, but I would definitely say that there's a level of wisdom that I don't know if I would have ever given myself the chance to tap into if I hadn't taken the life course that I did. And so even though intelligence is one of those great, amazing things, and I love being around intelligent people because they just like, I feel like all the neurons in my brain just skyrocket because I love absorbing information and learning information. I definitely, for those of you out there that feel like you aren't the most intelligent person in the room, know that there is another type of intelligence. There's another way to be smart, and it's wisdom. And a lot of people that tend to struggle with, you know, kind of like more factual intelligence might want to give a little try on the wisdom side of life, because maybe that's more so your calling. And I can think of so many people in my head right now that I know that have also felt this way, that have also went through school feeling a little bit like inadequate and not good enough because they didn't have the highest grades, or they struggled, or maybe they needed a laptop, or maybe they needed teacher assistance, and who knows. But all of those people are also people that I know to be some of the wisest people that I've ever known, especially considering like all of our ages. It's just like, it's a wild concept to think that to be smart can mean so many different things to so many different people. So don't discredit how intelligent you find yourself. And also use that intelligence to write a comment down below on what you would say the difference is between intelligence and wisdom. Maybe you'll be able to formulate a little bit more of a clear and perceptive thought than I did today. It's a little cloudy and a little distracted. There was a spider on my camera, so fair enough, you know? And aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's Koze Daily Brew, and I'll talk to all of you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.